Hi, I'm Jan Aquarius. I want to talk to you about mindset today. I'm bringing this content in the context of adaptability, hoping to provide you with the tools and insights to become more comfortable with change and uncertainty, or even to thrive in this complex, fast-changing world. In the next 10 years, we're likely to see as much change as we had in the last 100. We might know and feel that the world is changing fast, but the speed at which change is accelerating is making it difficult for most of us to keep up. It might give us stress, and it might make us feel frustrated, left behind, or fearful. It might also make us feel curious, excited, or hopeful, depending on how we look at change and uncertainty. My friendly old neighbor doesn't have a cell phone, and I find myself concerned about his contact with the world, while also being confused on how I could easily communicate with him. All right, of course, knocking on his door and speaking face to face. Nevertheless, I have a feeling he might be left behind to some extent because of all the changes that he is not being a part of. And that worries me at moments, although it probably doesn't worry him. When reflecting on change, I also remember I used to silently curse my employer when we were changing office programs for the third time in 2 years. Next to a new time registration system, another CRM system, a change in the way we need to book our travel, a different methodology for managing projects, and a new system for ordering company cars. And for opening the parking gates, I now need an application. Also, the last time I visited a client, I was interacting with a computer stand before entering the offices. The receptionist, gone. And I know in the big scheme of things, these are minor, but often they don't feel like that. And we also have bigger events that hugely impact how we live, work, and interact, like COVID, war, economic instability, etc. I don't know how you handle this, but for me, it's no surprise that I'm not super excited to upgrade to the newest version of Windows, or that I have to shift all my coaching and trainings to an online setting. Or for the parents out there, that you suddenly need to be working from home with kids running around, which, of course, should not have an impact on your productivity, right? So at times, I feel I want to be left in peace. My adaptability buffer seems to be gone, or at least that's how it feels. For those who also sometimes struggle with change or uncertainty, and I think we all do to some extent, I'm happy to bring a positive message. You can become better at dealing with this. With this video, we aim to shift the narrative. We'll look at what we can do to feel better in this complex reality. Maybe like me, you are not aware that you have quite some inner resources that you can develop to be able to deal in a better way with everything that brings you out of balance, meaning dealing with it in a calmer, more flexible and positive way. By nature, we are very adaptable creatures, by the way. We are still here. We wouldn't have survived if we were not adapting to changing circumstances. So if you think about it, really, we're adaptability ninjas. But that doesn't mean that change can be hard, especially now that it keeps on accelerating. And the first thing to realize that could already help in dealing with it is that change is the only constant in life. So we can fight it, we can curse it, or try to ignore it, but we can't escape it. And just a couple of forecasts and insights to understand the times we are living in, not to instill any fear, just as a more factual indication of what I've mentioned above. 40% of jobs that exist today will not exist in 10 years' time. 375 million people may need to switch occupations and learn new skills. Depression and anxiety cost the global economy $1 trillion in lost productivity every year. So the important question to ask ourselves is, can we become better in dealing with change and uncertainty? Can we learn how to thrive in a fast-changing world? Can we increase our adaptability and bridge the gap that we have today in the accelerated pace of change and where we are and where we feel we can be as a human being? And the answer is, luckily, yes. So we can increase our adaptability. And how adaptable you are can be measured via your AQ, which stands for adaptability quotient or adaptive intelligence. It is an increasingly important measure next to IQ, intellectual quotient, and EQ, emotional quotient, when looking at different elements that help you to thrive in this world. And you can approach strengthening your adaptability from 3 angles. And combined, they give you a full model of adaptability. The first one is building abilities that strengthen your adaptability, like grit, mindset, mental flexibility, resilience, and unlearn. Second angle is understanding your personality or character in the face of change. If you understand that better, you can learn how you can use this knowledge to your advantage in changing circumstances. And this can help you understand if you are more a play to win or a play to protect character, rather hopeful or rather fearful, more introvert, more extrovert, and so on. And the third angle is influencing your environment so that you feel more supported and more confident in moving through change and uncertainty. And in the context of work, this would be, for example, looking at your work stress or the balance of positive and negative experiences that you have at work, or how you feel supported by your employer, how safe you feel within your team, etc. If you'd have to choose one of the above elements to work on, meaning one of those three angles, my suggestion is to start with what you can most influence yourself, which is yourself, so your abilities of adaptability. So let's have a look at what current research on adaptability, and more specifically the abilities of adaptability, is showing. They've pinpointed 5 abilities that strongly influence your adaptability, as already briefly mentioned above. First one is grit. Grit is the ability to stay the course, to follow through when approaching important goals. The second is mental flexibility, the ability to accept, appreciate, and embrace competing demands, problems, or points of view. The third one is mindset, the general outlook that change and adaptation or adaptation will result in positive outcomes rather than negative ones. The fourth one is resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and setback. So the ability to bounce back, in other words. And the fifth one is unlearn. Unlearn is the skill to let go of intentionally of previous knowledge and to reassess based on new and old data. And we'll tackle each one of them, but as I am a huge fan of mindset, we'll start with this one. So mindset in general terms is about how you think about yourself, about others, and the things around you. It's your established set of attitudes. In the context of change, it's how you think about change. And the beautiful thing about mindset is that it's not fixed. You can change how you think about things, like, for example, how you think about change itself. You can move from a rather negative point of view to a more positive one. And the interesting thing there is that the science is showing is that when you start working on one element, for example, mindset, other elements will start improving as well. For example, changing my mindset to a more positive one will positively influence also my grit, my mental flexibility, my resilience, and my unlearn abilities as well. Also, character traits like hope will also be positively influenced if I start working on my mindset. So imagine how you can exponentially increase your AQ when working on several of these elements at the same time. Okay, so we can influence our mindset for the better. The next question to ask ourselves, what are ways we can actually do this? How can we strengthen or change our mindset so that coping with change and uncertainty becomes easier? So a couple of tips to start working on your mindset. Step 1 is awareness. It all starts with awareness. You can only influence those things that you are aware of. So the first crucial step is to trigger this awareness, in this case, in the context of change. So take a moment to reflect on how you look at change. If you rather have a negative outlook, what is frustrating for you about it? If you have a rather positive outlook, what makes change a positive thing for you? Another question you can ask yourself, what is going through your mind when a new, big or small change is about to happen in your life? So use a couple of examples to be very specific. And what are your thoughts then? How do you feel? And how does this influence your behavior? Another question you can ask yourself, how do you interact with others when going through change or a lot of uncertainty? And so on. So I would suggest to take some time to write down the answers to these questions, pause for a moment the video, and come back when you're done. By the way, journaling or writing is a fantastic way to build up your self-awareness. If you'd like, you can download the journal template that I will add in the notes of this episode. Mindfulness and meditation are the other amazing tools that can strengthen your self-awareness, which we will discuss further in step 5. The second step, shifting perspectives. So once you've created enough awareness, you can start looking at shifting perspectives. If you discover that, like most people, you struggle to some extent with change, you can start exploring how you can change your thinking about change by shifting your perspective. And for this, I'd like to bring in a second adaptability ability, which is mental flexibility. And mental flexibility is one of the AQ abilities that helps you to be open to different points of view or a multitude of demands. Being mentally flexible can trigger a shift in perspective, meaning a mindset change. If, for example, I have an approach in mind to solve a specific problem and my boss suggests another approach, being mentally flexible helps me to be open and curious about his solution. And as a consequence, it possibly shifts how I look at the problem, shifting my mindset, and as a result, also my behavior. And we have good news. You can also develop your mental flexibility and shift perspectives. You can ask yourself, for example, a couple of questions to create a shift in perspective. What are benefits of the change? Take a recent example. What are the benefits now? What are maybe the benefits in 6 months, or maybe even further down the road in 5 years, for example? What was a change in your life that was very difficult at the time, but turned out to bring about something fantastic? How did you cope with difficult changes in the past? And which strengths did you use? And how did that help you grow? When did you triumph thanks to change or in the face of change? And how did that make you feel? And how have you successfully dealt with insecurities in the past? And how did this support your growth? And so on. So these are just some of the questions that you can help to shift your perspective. Another way to increase your mental flexibility is by participating in improvisation exercises. Very confronting if you're a rather a rigid thinker like me, but a great and fun way to find more comfort in change and uncertainty and to be more skilled in shifting perspectives. So next to asking yourself questions to help you shift your perspective, and next to improvisation, you can also actively engage with the following two mindsets to become more mentally flexible. And that is the growth mindset and the ownership mindset. And they really have helped me tremendously in my personal growth, in my self-confidence, and overall happiness. So let's explore those two mindsets briefly as well. In the growth mindset, you believe that with effort, you can learn and grow. In the mindset of ownership, you take responsibility for what you experience and achieve in life. And really grasping these mindsets will create a shift in how you see life, making it a playground for experimentation and growth, moving away from victimhood, fear, and self-doubt. The tip to cultivate the growth mindset: practice the beginner's mind by using curiosity very actively. Curiosity makes life more interesting and also a very active self-created learning process. A tip to strengthen your ownership mindset is to ask yourself these questions. If I would be responsible for this outcome or for this feeling, how did I contribute to this? And what could I do differently next time if I want to change the outcome or the feeling? If you want to deep dive into these two mindsets, I suggest you follow the corresponding masterclasses of the Thrive Academy. I'll add the link also in the show notes. All right, the third step to enable your mindset more in the face of change and to support you in change and uncertainty is to invest in your self-confidence. When you feel confident, you more easily see the positive because fear and insecurities are less triggered. By tapping into your self-confidence, you'll also feel more capable of dealing with uncertainty and change. So strengthening your self-confidence moves you into the mindset of, I know I've got this, and is therefore a great investment for a more positive mindset. And by the way, so much more. The great news here as well is that with small actions, you can have a big impact on your self-confidence. And a powerful thing to start paying attention to if you want to increase your self-confidence is the agreements that you make with yourself. If oftentimes you don't stick to the agreements you make with yourself, for example, tomorrow I'll get up earlier, this week I'll run 3 times, etc., your self-confidence will suffer. But if you start making small agreements with yourself and you start sticking to them, your confidence will grow. I'll also add some extra materials on self-confidence in the show notes. The fourth step to start working with your mindset is build up your happiness. You think positively when you're happy, you automatically have a more positive mindset. You also more easily notice the positive things around you and your own positive contributions. When feeling happy, you also have more energy, you are more creative, and you see the bigger picture more easily. At your core, when you're happy, you feel that life is good, including the struggles, and whatever challenge is thrown at you, you take it with strength and maybe even with a smile. And all these side effects of happiness contribute to a positive mindset and allow you to deal with change and uncertainty in a lighter, more constructive way. And by the way, if happiness sounds like too big of a term, think of your mood instead. If you're in a good mood, you also deal with challenges and uncertainties in a light, open, and confident way. When you're in a bad mood, if you are stressed, if you are frustrated, etc., you typically don't take change and uncertainty that well. So your mood and happiness, in other words, strongly influence how you look and approach situations. Hence, they have a direct impact on your mindset. And luckily, as with self-confidence, this is also something you can take in your own hands and influence for the better, raising your happiness baseline or instantly changing your mood. And just two of the simplest happiness hacks you can immediately apply. First, start paying attention or more attention to the positive. What was fun today? What was nice today? What made you feel good? What did you do well? Second, practice gratitude. So close your eyes, slow down your breath for a minute, and think of 10 things you are grateful for and repeat daily. Also here, I'll add some more materials on increasing your happiness levels in the show notes. A fifth step we can start working on related to the mindset is level up your mindfulness skills. Mindfulness is the awareness of the present moment without judgment. And this no judgment part of the definition is huge because it's the judging of change that makes it extra hard for us. If we see change as something negative, it becomes more difficult to deal with. But if we learn to look at it for what it is in a more neutral way, lots of the struggle with change and uncertainty can dissolve. And mindfulness can really help you to lift that negative label of or the negative connotation you have around change and uncertainty, to take that away, which will automatically shift how you think about it, which is also a mindset shift. As the saying goes, what you resist persists. So I'd say stop resisting change and uncertainty, and you'll start creating the space to be more at ease with it. Also, if you're interested in leveling up your mindfulness skill, I will add some extra resources to the show notes. To summarize, change is the only constant in life. So the more equipped we become in dealing with it, the more likely we are to thrive in the face of it. Research is making this more and more clear, showing us indeed that next to IQ and EQ, AQ, or adaptive intelligence, is becoming increasingly important. And the research is also showing us a path to level it up. In this article, we highlighted one of the abilities that you can work on to improve your AQ, which is mindset. A mindset is really a very powerful tool when you learn how to navigate it. And we've discussed 5 elements that you can use to let your mind work more in your favor, helping you to more easily go through change and to feel and perform better in this fast-paced world. First, level up your self-awareness. Second, learn to shift perspectives by asking yourself questions, developing your growth mindset and your ownership mindset. 3, invest in your self-confidence. 4, build up your happiness or gain more control of your mood. And 5, level up your mindfulness skills. For each element, we've given a couple of actionable steps to impact your AQ immediately and to feel more capable to deal with change and uncertainty, or even to thrive in the face of it. Let's say experiment with it and feel free to contact me if you'd like some help. If we want to leave no one behind, adaptability is key. For more inspiration, feel free also to connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, or YouTube, or you can subscribe to the newsletter. If you have any questions or comments, also let me know. I'm Jan Aquarius, happiness and high performance expert, and happy to help you and your organization thrive. Cheers.